All right, folks, welcome back to Court TV Live. Michael Ayala here with Judge Ashley Wilcott. We do want to get you back to court and the murder trial for defendant Robert Tellis in Nevada. A jury will soon determine whether or not he is guilty of murdering longtime journalist Jeff German.
Right now, we are hearing from the prosecution as they deliver their rebuttal closing argument. We hit the pause button. Let's get you back in where we left off.
Makes mistakes. There's that deletion. Well, and as I've just pointed out, Tellis made a ton of mistakes himself. So we will own that, on one traffic stop, we didn't mark a proper event number. And you can give it whatever weight you want. Tellis cutting himself while cooking. Again, we've talked about the chicken fried rice thing. That's not backed up. Wouldn't there be blood from the cut? Not necessarily. What if he had gloves on? And he's kind of cutting his tip. It may not be pouring everywhere. And again, look at that scene. The majority of the blood of Mr. German is actually just kind of pooling from where he's resting. It's not splattered all over the house walls. It's not that type of scene. I mean, German's shoes are such a good example of that. Like, he's the guy who gets killed. He's the one stabbed 11 times, and his shoes are relatively clean. And he's not doing a lot of walking. A lack of responses to junk messages. That's true, but there are work messages he's not responding to, and his wife is reaching out to him, and he ain't responding for hours. That's a problem. That's a problem for him. Especially, go look at, when you're not in the murder window, go look at the communications. So like when his daughter reaches out to him in the morning, he responds like that. No issue. Like at 3 o'clock or so, or 2:30, when Tonya, his ex-wife, responds with a question about the kids, he responds immediately. And what did he tell us on the stand? What did he tell us on the stand about being at Summerlin Area Command? What was his big worry? My family doesn't know where I am. I was so worried about being detained there because I couldn't reach out to my family, because that was the most important thing. And what do we know on the day of the murder in the murder window? His wife wants to know where he is, and he's not telling her. That is significant, because his pattern is, when you look outside the murder window, he promptly responds to family members about family matters. But he goes silent with his wife when he's literally in Mr. German's neighborhood. And another thing, remember his face when I showed him the Apple photo for the first time? If anybody remembers, store that one away. Because he was very comfortable on direct talking about the timeline. And he had his story all lined up. And when I showed him the photo, the message that wasn't there, that face really changed. And you can weigh that when evaluating his credibility and his responsibility for this. And then there was the argument about DFL analyst Hovanec couldn't say one way or another if it was deleted. Well, you're right. He's like, I can't definitively say it. What he does say is, I can see from the photos the message is there. I can see in the timeline it's not there. Sometimes there are situations where people delete things deliberately and it's marked as deleted, so it'll appear in an extraction report. But sometimes people delete messages and it's not. But he can't definitively say for certain. So I would submit this to you, ladies and gentlemen. Look at all the surrounding evidence in the case. And then you can reach a conclusion about this. Because, ladies and gentlemen, circumstantial evidence is a chain of facts that lead you ultimately to a conclusion. It's like connecting the dots. And so if you're wondering about this, look at the phone evidence. Look at the motive. Look at the physical evidence in his house. Look at the timeline of when he's gone. Look at when the Yukon is where it is in relation to just nothing is going out on this phone. And then you decide, you can make a call about whether, and his manner on the stand, listen to him testify, and then you can decide whether he actually deleted that message. And I'm gonna get to the significance of why maybe that message was deleted in a bit. And again, Hovanec couldn't tell you the cache date on the phone. The state would submit, and you can check your notes, that's not his testimony. He never said, I can't tell you the cache date. He said, I couldn't tell you the creation date. He said, the cache date is something different. That's what the report is showing me. That's the last time this image interacted with the phone. So that's the time that those smaller images are interacting with those phones, all those dates in August. Not bagging the hands. And that was an argument being made. Like, no one could tell us exactly. So I would say, what means what? Has there been testimony that the DNA evidence was compromised? There was no evidence of that. What is being asked of you? You're being asked to speculate. And you have an instruction on reasonable doubt. And reasonable doubt must be actual, not mere possibility or speculation. Speculation doesn't get you there. It's improper to speculate. Ah, here it is. I knew I didn't forget it. Colin was streets away from his home. That's not correct. That's his house. This is the road. When you're watching that Yukon come in and out, and his BMW coming out, this is what you're seeing. So you're right, we didn't get any homes in this area with camera footage. But we got about 5 miles worth other than that. There was an argument, does it make any sense that there aren't any other cameras in the neighborhood? And my response would be, did you see Mog's presentation? Does this appear to be a case of Metro's not interested in collecting video? There's like 28 sources. The state would submit to you, if there was a camera that was working, that was closer to his house, they would have gotten it, and we would have wanted it. And then there was the video that they showed of this other car, right, with someone presumably with hair and glasses. The state would encourage you, by all means, go compare it to.
All right, let's bring back in our guest still with us, trial attorney Bruce Rosenberg. And Bruce, I'm starting to check out a little bit. You know, and I love this stuff as much as anybody. I'm sure this jury has sat through this. They might begin checking out when is too long, when is long too long?
I think that long was too long a few minutes ago. I think that I was waiting and waiting and waiting for the prosecution to address the chain of custody. And he got to it, but long-winded, long in the tooth, way too long. I think that there's a gap there, and that they might have lost the jury's attention for a little bit. But overall, he hit the most important point, which is that it's not proper to speculate. And I think he finally hit the two major issues that were brought up about the chain of custody and bagging the hands and the DNA, as well as the alleged hair on the person, the profile in the car. So maybe it's a little long-winded, and he should wrap it up real fast. But I think he's got the points there, and I think the defense has a really tough time now overcoming what the prosecution has laid out.
Yeah, just one other thing we've learned, Michael, and that is the makeup of the jury.
Yes.
Matt Johnson has shared with us 5 men, 7 women, 2 alternates who are both male. What does that say to you, if anything? Any concerns about that makeup?
No, I don't think it does. I think this case is strictly about the evidence itself. I'm not sure it makes a difference who's hearing it, man or woman, young or old.
Yeah, it's gonna, you know, I do wonder, there's 7 women, whether or not they're inclined to lean in and give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and say, well, let me look at some of this evidence in that video, because the devil's in the details. I don't know.
Cheated on his wife. That might bother some other women as well.
Oh, that's a really good point. All right, thanks to Bruce Rosenberg for joining us this hour.
All right, folks, stick around, please, because coming up more from the state's rebuttal closing argument and the investigative report of murder.